Hello everybody. Today we will be reviewing the long-term effects of nuclear weapons, session 23. A famous report on long-term effects of nuclear war was called the TTAPS report. It was not a scientific report, but it's one that people believed to be scientific at the time. TTAPS stands for Turco, Toon, Ackerman, Polak, and Sagan. These are professors. They ran a model, developed a model to inject dust into the atmosphere, toxic gases, soot and smoke, and they analyzed according to their model what would happen on the planet. But they had a couple shortcomings. TTAPS did not consider or account for the seasons between summer and winter. They just did not consider that in their model. They also didn't consider in their model any winds. They assumed that the Earth to be static with absolutely no wind. They also did not account for the difference in geography between the mountains and the desert. They also did not account for washout from rain or snow. Anytime you have fallout, soot, dust, it's going into the atmosphere. If there's any type of precipitation, rain or snow, it's going to wash it out. And the model assumed that the spread of smoke to be instantaneous, which is impossible. And they assumed, for some reason, that the temperature would start off at 20 degrees below average when their model started. And finally, I don't know how you missed this one, but they did not account for the mass of the oceans, which is 75% of the planet. So here's the summary of what they did not include in their model. They didn't include the wind, the seasons, geography, rain, instantaneous smoke, massive oceans. I don't think they deliberately missed this. They just didn't put it in. It was a very political time when the TTAPS report came out. But this is not considered a scientific report. A scientific report was National Center for Atmospheric Research. This was back in 1986. This was only on the news just a little bit. These two books are $300, so I don't see too many people going out and buying this and sitting there with a beer and reading it. But these are pretty technical books. I talked to these guys and to review how they made their model and how they went through all this. And I'm just summarizing here for you. The TTAPS model, the one that didn't account for the mass of the oceans and wind and so on, they predicted a nuclear winter, which is right down here. The temperature would drop from 55 degrees all the way down close to minus 10. But it's not a scientific report. It was never really intended to be that. It's just I think the press really ran off with it. But the worst that would happen for the National Center for Atmospheric Research in their model would be that we may have, in the worst case, if all 6,000 nuclear warheads detonated at the same time, we may have a temperature go down and then come back up to almost normal within 30 days. So this is the reality of it. But science in this case was really politicized. But the National Center for Atmospheric Research had two conclusions. One, despite the potential for serious nuclear winter effects, there does not seem to be real potential for human extinction, nor is there a plausible threshold for severe environmental effects. Thus, the two conclusions of the original TTAPS report idea have been removed. The second part of the conclusion is the real problem is mass starvation in non-combatant countries due to the disruption of the food supply. And yes, that is really serious. So those are the two final real conclusions based on science. If you look at the this is all in POP. If you look at the effects on the human body the long-term effects, you can see here our normal cancer rate is 352 per thousand. If you look in this area, if you get 10 to 30 REMs, it may go from 355 to 359. If you go up now in a properly designed shelter, you would get less than 25. You should get less than 10. So you'd still be in this normal range. But even if you got 40 or 50, you would have this. You would go up. The potential cancer deaths lifetime would go up from 18 all the way to 18.6. And what's important to realize as a reference point is the people at Hiroshima who were exposed to the blast effects, the radiation, who were malnourished to start with and starving. Those people today have a lower cancer rates than smokers. So there's always a reference point. And then for people who don't have a shelter, somehow get exposed here, here's the cancer rates that would go up. But you don't know exactly what's going to happen. But this is the prediction based on the medical side of it. But here's the reality. Here's a 1 megaton surface burst, and here's the reality down here, as far as soot and smoke and fallout and all that. Here it is here. 5th week. Here's where you are. At 50 miles away, you're at 0.5 REMs a day. So this is reality. This is what actually happened in the Nevada test site for all the nuclear weapons that they've tested. So this is reality. This is what we judge our life by.